Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the soul whispers louder than the noise of the world. That whisper is purpose, and I say to you today, if you want to move forward, you must begin with a clear, burning purpose. A man or woman without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, aimless, directionless, and at the mercy of the winds of circumstance. But when you define your purpose, you harness the power of every step, every action, every moment. Success does not come by accident. It is summoned. It is the direct result of a desire so strong, so white, hot that it cannot be denied. That desire must live in your heart, not just in the mind, not just in the words you speak to others, but in the quiet hours when no one is watching, when your only companion is the mirror. Desire alone, however, is not enough. You must take that desire and wrap it in faith, unshakable, immovable faith. Not blind hope, but a deep belief that what you seek is already seeking you. Faith is the fire that lights the darkness. It is the force that gives power to your vision. When your faith is stronger than your fear, there is no obstacle that can hold you back. But even with purpose, desire, and faith, the journey demands more. It demands persistence. The world will test you, doors will close, people will doubt, failure will knock. But those who keep going, who keep digging when others stop, those are the ones who rise. You must resolve that no matter how many times you fall, you will rise once more. The greatest difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not talent, it's perseverance. And finally, you must act. Action is the bridge between thought and reality. Dreams are cheap if they are not backed by action. You can study, plan, and visualize, but until you move, until you commit, nothing changes. Action fuels progress. It converts hope into results. Every great achievement began with a first step, and then another, until the goal was reached. This, your purpose, your desire, your faith, your persistence, and your action, this is what will push you forward. Not someday, not maybe, now, because everything you need to succeed is already within you. The only thing left is for you to use it. Definite purpose creates unstoppable momentum. This single idea has built empires, forged leaders, and turned ordinary individuals into extraordinary legends. Without a definite purpose, even the most gifted person remains idle, unsure, scattered. But when a mind locks onto a specific aim, it begins to move with the power of a locomotive, carving a path through all opposition. It is the mental equivalent of striking a match in a dark room. Suddenly, everything becomes clear. Suddenly, every decision, every action, every breath takes on meaning. The human mind is a powerful machine, but it was never designed to wander aimlessly. It thrives on direction. It requires a target. When you give it a definite purpose, you awaken forces within you that have been lying dormant. You awaken focus, energy, drive, and clarity. You begin to see opportunities where others see nothing. You begin to notice doors that were invisible before. A purpose makes the impossible appear possible, because it transforms every obstacle into a challenge to be conquered rather than a wall to be feared. When you possess a definite purpose, you stop drifting. Drifting is one of the most dangerous conditions known to man. A person who drifts through life is easily influenced, easily defeated, and easily forgotten. They wake up without intention and fall asleep without progress. But give that same person a burning goal, a reason that ignites the soul, and their entire being changes. Their walk becomes more certain, their voice more confident, their decisions more deliberate. Purpose gives meaning to sacrifice. It gives reason to the pain. It gives shape to the future. You must understand, a definite purpose is not a vague wish. It is not a hope. It is not a general desire to be successful or live a better life. No. A definite purpose is specific, clear, measurable. It is something you can articulate with conviction. It is something you can hold in your mind and see so clearly that you feel as if you already live it. A person with a definite purpose does not wait for permission. They do not seek approval. They move as though their goal were already in their grasp, because they know that clarity of aim draws resources, people, and circumstances toward them. This clarity becomes momentum, it becomes self-sustaining. Once your mind becomes obsessed with a purpose, your entire mental system reorganizes to support it. Your subconscious goes to work, day and night, searching for ways to help you achieve it. Your conversations change, your habits change, your priorities shift. Time becomes more valuable, distractions lose their appeal. Suddenly, the excuses that used to stop you begin to sound empty. You no longer ask whether you can do it. You begin to ask how you will do it, and then you go to work finding the answer. Think of the great men and women in history who achieved greatness. They were not always the most educated, the most connected, or the most talented. But they were always the most purposeful. They were driven. They were relentless in their pursuit of a singular vision. Their purpose gave them tunnel vision. It eliminated doubt. It allowed them to suffer failure and rise again, stronger, clearer, and more determined. Purpose, when held with conviction, becomes a magnet for success. Even in the darkest of times, a definite purpose becomes the light. It gives you a reason to continue. It becomes your why, and when your why is strong enough, the how reveals itself. Purpose gives birth to creativity because the mind begins to search not just for possibilities, but for solutions. You become resourceful, you become inventive, you begin to adapt. That's the power of a definite aim. It compels you to evolve. And let us not forget, with purpose, time accelerates. When you're living with purpose, you're not simply existing. You're building, you're contributing, you're shaping a legacy. Time, instead of being a burden, becomes a tool. You no longer spend your days reacting to life. You begin to design it. You begin to mold it around your goal. That's the shift that separates the leaders from the followers, the builders from the bystanders, the achievers from the drifters. If there is any force that pushes a man forward with the certainty of a rising sun, it is the clarity of a burning desire wrapped in a definite purpose. With it, failure is only temporary. With it, fatigue is only a signal to rest, not to stop. With it, criticism becomes fuel, opposition becomes feedback. You begin to see every setback as a setup for the comeback, because the purpose is too great, the mission is too important. And nothing, not doubt, not fear, not delay, and hold back the man or woman who knows exactly what they want and refuses to quit until it is achieved. To live without purpose is to run in circles. To live with purpose is to run with speed, direction, and impact. One path leads to regret. The other leads to destiny. The difference is a decision. And that decision, once made with absolute clarity, is what sets your life on fire and pushes you forward like nothing else ever could. Persistence is the iron quality of success. It is the trait that separates those who dream from those who achieve. While the world respects talent, rewards intelligence, and applauds brilliance, it bows only to persistence. Because persistence is the one force that does not take no for an answer, it does not back down, it does not fold under pressure, it keeps showing up, day after day, blow after blow, until the walls that once stood tall begin to crack. Every goal worth pursuing will meet resistance. That is the law of life. The moment you declare that you want something greater, a better career, deeper wisdom, financial freedom, mastery in any form, life begins to test your sincerity. Resistance appears not to block you, but to strengthen you. It asks a simple question, how bad do you want it? And your answer is never in your words, it's in your persistence. You see, resistance is temporary. It may feel strong, it may appear unbeatable, but it cannot endure the steady pressure of persistence. Most people are stopped not by failure, but by fatigue. They stop not because they are defeated, but because they grow tired of the struggle. But those who persist, who keep going when the feeling is gone, when the applause is silent, when the road grows cold, those are the ones who earn the crown. Persistence is a mindset. It is not an emotion, nor is it dependent on motivation. It is a decision, an unshakable resolve that says, I will not stop. That decision becomes your armor. It protects your vision. It shields your dream from the distractions, the delays, and the doubts that claim the hopes of the weak-hearted. When you are persistent, you no longer wait for the right moment. You create it. You no longer wait for the path to open. You forge it. Most people quit at the first sign of difficulty. Others last a little longer. but give in when results don't arrive quickly enough. But success is not for the impatient. It is not for the easily discouraged. It belongs to those who can withstand the silence, the rejection, and the long stretches of effort without reward. It belongs to those who believe in their goal so deeply that they are willing to struggle for as long as it takes. Think of water falling on stone. 1 drop means nothing, 10 drops do little, but consistent drops, over time, wear down the hardest surface. That is persistence. You may not see the result today, or even tomorrow, but every effort compounds. Every step forward, no matter how small, moves you closer. And if you refuse to stop, the wall eventually breaks. Persistence is not blind effort. It is intelligent, focused determination. It adapts, it learns, it grows stronger with each failure. When you persist, you do not repeat the same mistake. You refine your approach. You become more efficient. You become sharper. You build not just endurance, but wisdom. You turn rejection into redirection. You turn obstacles into education. In the face of resistance, persistent individuals do not fold. They rise. They use setbacks as stepping stones. They embrace the process as part of their transformation, because the struggle is not just about reaching the goal, it's about becoming the person worthy of it. Persistence develops character. It builds discipline. It creates emotional toughness that can face the storms of life without flinching. There is a hidden power in those who persist. The world begins to take notice. Opportunities begin to appear. Not because of luck, but because most people quit, and the path clears for those who remain. Persistence shrinks competition. While others abandon the race, the persistent gain ground, and eventually, what once felt out of reach becomes inevitable. Every great inventor, leader, and builder has faced failure. What made them rise was not that they were immune to it, but that they refused to surrender to it. They were told no again and again. They were laughed at, dismissed, discouraged. But they kept going, not because it was easy, but because they had made a promise to themselves, a promise they would not break. Persistence outlasts resistance because resistance is external, but persistence is internal. You control it. It cannot be taken from you. It is yours to cultivate, to strengthen, and to use. The world will throw obstacles in your way, but you decide whether to yield or push through. And the moment you commit to push through, fully, deeply, completely, resistance begins to lose its power. You do not need to have all the answers at the start. You do not need to be perfect, but you must be willing to continue, to wake up one more day, to try one more time, to speak when your voice shakes, to walk when your legs tremble, to believe when the results say otherwise. That is persistence, and that is the force that builds empires, writes history, and moves lives from ordinary to legendary. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. It is the seed from which every great creation, every towering success, and every historic victory has grown. Without desire, no plan can form, no dream can live, and no man or woman can rise above the average. Desire is the fire that wakes the mind, stirs the heart, and moves the feet. It is the invisible force that pushes ordinary people to do extraordinary things. It is the origin of all greatness. Every achievement, no matter how small or how vast, begins first in the form of a desire, a deeply held want, a burning need, a vision that will not let go. The size of that desire often determines the size of the result. A weak desire produces weak results. A faint wish dies quickly, but a burning desire, a desire so strong it consumes your thinking, shapes your habits, and commands your focus, becomes the foundation of all progress. You must understand this clearly. Success is not accidental. It does not fall into laps. It is not gifted to the lucky. It is summoned by those who want it with all their soul, those who hunger for it so deeply that they are willing to sacrifice, to struggle, to stand alone if necessary. Desire sharpens your vision. It makes vague hopes become clear goals. It gives your thoughts direction and your life meaning. When you truly desire something, you begin to build your life around it. You become intentional with your time. You begin to guard your energy. your conversations change, your environment changes. That desire, if it is strong enough, becomes a magnet that draws the right people, the right ideas, and the right opportunities to you. And even when those things don't come quickly, desire keeps you moving until they do. The key is that your desire must be definite. Vague longings cannot withstand pressure. A general wish to be successful or do something great carries no power. But a clearly defined, emotionally charged desire becomes a mission. It becomes a reason to get up early, to keep going when others stop, to try again when others quit. That kind of desire turns obstacles into fuel. It makes failure temporary. It creates an inner force so powerful that it begins to influence your reality. There are people with talent who fail. There are people with opportunity who waste it. But a person with desire, true, burning desire, cannot be stopped for long, because they will search, they will study, they will attempt, and they will continue, even when the world says it's impossible. Desire makes you resilient. It makes you stubborn in the best way. It gives you a reason to endure the delays, the doubts, and the dark days. Desire gives birth to belief. When you want something badly enough, you begin to believe it's possible. That belief grows stronger each day you hold on to the vision. That belief becomes faith. And once faith takes root, the impossible begins to bend. The circumstances begin to shift. The mountain begins to move, not because the world suddenly changed, but because your desire changed you. And once you are changed, your world must follow. There are those who say desire is dangerous, that it leads to disappointment, that it sets you up for failure. But let me tell you, a life without desire is already a failure. It is empty, it is passive, it is survival without purpose, it is movement without progress. Only those who desire greatly achieve greatly. Only those who burn within can light up the world around them. Do not be afraid of wanting more. Do not apologize for wanting to grow, to rise, to lead, to succeed. Desire is the most natural, powerful part of your being. It is the signal that something greater lies ahead of you. It is your spirit reaching beyond what is, toward what can be. The world needs men and women who desire something so deeply they are willing to build it, even if they must start from nothing. Desire is not just emotional, it is practical. It is what gets you through the work no one sees. It is what makes you read when others relax, practice when others party, and endure when others escape. It gives discipline a reason. It gives sacrifice a purpose. Without desire, discipline dies. Without desire, no strategy, no technique, no advice can take root. The greatest thinkers, creators, and achievers in history began with desire. They were not satisfied with what was. They were haunted by a vision of what could be. That restlessness became fuel. It drove them to learn, to try, to build, to fail, and to rise again. And each time they rose, their desire grew stronger, more refined, more determined. You must guard your desire. Do not let others water it down. Do not let failure dampen it. Keep it alive. Fan the flame every day with your thoughts, your actions, and your choices, because the size of your desire will determine the size of your life. When your desire becomes non-negotiable, when it becomes a matter of destiny, nothing can stand in your way. Desire is not just the starting point. It is the energy that drives the entire journey. Feed it. Trust it. Act on it. Because it is the first spark that sets the fire of achievement burning. And once that fire starts, there is no limit to how far it can carry you. Faith transforms dreams into reality. It is the unseen force behind every great accomplishment, every miracle of progress, every breakthrough that once seemed impossible. Faith is not merely belief, it is belief in action. It is the ability to see what does not yet exist and act as though it already does. Faith allows you to reach beyond the limits of your present circumstances and grasp the potential of your future. It turns the invisible into the inevitable. All great achievements begin in the mind. They are first imagined, first visualized, first believed, but without faith, those visions remain nothing more than illusions. Faith is the bridge between the idea and the outcome. It is the force that gives power to thought. It transforms desire from mere longing into unstoppable pursuit. It creates the emotional certainty that what you want is not only possible, it is certain if you continue to act. Faith is more than hope. Hope waits, faith works, hope wishes, faith expects. It moves forward even when no evidence is in sight. It does not require guarantees. It does not ask for confirmation. It operates in the darkness as powerfully as it does in the light. A person with true faith will take steps when the path is unclear, will press forward when the outcome is uncertain, and will stand firm when others fall away. Faith gives your dream a living presence. The moment you believe in your vision so deeply that you speak of it, act upon it, and plan for it as though it were already yours, you set forces in motion that the average mind cannot comprehend. Faith charges your subconscious mind with a definite aim. It directs your thoughts, sharpens your focus, and builds your resilience. It removes hesitation, it silences doubt, it replaces fear with forward movement. Every successful person has used faith, whether they recognized it by name or not. Faith is not limited to religion or philosophy. It is a universal principle of creation. It is the foundation of innovation, of leadership, of success in every field. The inventor who believes the solution exists before he finds it. The entrepreneur who sees a thriving business before the first customer. The leader who sees victory before the first step. Each of them is operating on faith. When your mind is filled with faith, failure does not destroy you, it educates you. It becomes a temporary condition, not a final sentence. You begin to see failure not as the end, but as a redirection. A person with faith does not stop after a setback. They look for the lesson, adjust the approach, and continue forward. Faith transforms defeat into preparation. You cannot borrow faith, you must build it. You must cultivate it through daily repetition, through clear vision, and through unrelenting desire. You feed it with affirmation, imagination, and action. You reinforce it by surrounding yourself with people who believe in growth, in progress, in possibility. And most importantly, you prove it to yourself by doing the thing you once doubted. Every time you take action in the direction of your dream, even if it's a small step, you strengthen your faith. Doubt is natural, but it cannot be the master of your decision. If you wait for certainty, you will wait forever. If you require proof before you move, you will never move. Faith demands that you act when there is no visible support. It is in those moments, when your belief is tested, that your inner strength is formed. Just as muscles grow through resistance, faith grows through trial. The more you lean into it, the stronger it becomes. There is a kind of confidence that only comes through faith. Not arrogance, not ego, but certainty. The certainty that your dream is valid, that your path is yours, that your goal is achievable. This kind of certainty cannot be given to you. It is something you decide, and once decided, it changes everything. It changes how you speak, how you walk, how you plan, how you perform. The world responds not to what you hope for. It responds to what you believe. Let others doubt, let others delay, let others deny. Your responsibility is not to convince the world. Your responsibility is to believe so deeply, so completely, that your dream begins to take form in the world around you. Faith is creative energy. It molds your habits, it shapes your attitude, and it drives your momentum. When backed by faith, your thoughts become magnets, your actions become declarations, your presence becomes influence. Even the smallest seed of faith can move the largest mountain. It may begin as a whisper in your heart, but when you listen to it, when you protect it, when you act on it, it grows into a roar. It becomes louder than fear, stronger than doubt, more enduring than any setback. It becomes the power that pulls you through the lowest valleys and lifts you to the highest peaks. Faith does not guarantee an easy journey, but it guarantees movement. It ensures that you will not be stuck. It ensures that your dream will not die in your imagination. It ensures that something will change, and often, in pursuing the dream with faith, you become greater than the dream itself. That is the ultimate gift of faith. Not only that it turns dreams into reality, but that it transforms you in the process, from hesitant to courageous, from passive to powerful, from uncertain to unstoppable. Action is the cure for fear and doubt. No amount of thinking, analyzing, or wishing will remove fear from your mind like the boldness of a single step forward. Fear thrives in stillness, doubt grows stronger in delay. But action, direct, decisive, and immediate, cuts through both like sunlight dissolves darkness. If you want to move forward in life, you must act, not when you feel ready, but especially when you don't. The moment you move, the mind changes. Fear, which once seemed like a giant, begins to shrink. Doubt, which once echoed loudly, grows quiet. You begin to see that much of what you feared was a shadow, real in feeling, but powerless in truth. Action reveals this. It exposes the illusion and replaces hesitation with momentum. It teaches you, not just through thinking, but through experience. Every successful person you admire was once filled with uncertainty. They did not begin with total confidence. They began with a willingness to act. They moved forward in spite of their doubts. They acted while they were still learning. And in doing so, they gained clarity, skill, and conviction. Action, over time, built their confidence, not the other way around. You must stop waiting for the perfect plan. There is no perfect time, no perfect condition, no perfect version of yourself that will one day rise up and make everything easy. That moment does not come. What comes is now, the present moment, and your willingness to take hold of it, to act without knowing all the answers, to act while afraid, to act with trembling hands and an unsteady voice, because that action will teach you what no thought ever could. Doubt is natural, but doubt becomes dangerous when it turns into inaction. It is not the presence of fear that holds people back. It is their refusal to act in the presence of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement through fear. Every step you take in the direction of your goal weakens the grip of uncertainty. Every step confirms your strength. Every step gives you feedback, guidance, and most of all, power. There is a hidden law in nature. Motion creates clarity. When you move, when you do something, when you create, reach out, build, try, or speak, you learn. You discover what works and what doesn't. You find new doors opening. You stumble into ideas you never imagined. None of this happens in stillness. It only happens through the friction and flow of effort. Action is also the greatest source of belief. Many wait to feel confident before acting, but confidence is the reward, not the requirement. If you want to believe in yourself, do the thing that scares you. If you want to build faith in your dream, work on it when no one else is watching. Every act, no matter how small, reinforces the identity of someone who is moving forward. Over time, those acts compound into transformation. There is no failure in action. There is only feedback. What you learn from a single attempt is more valuable than what you learn from 100 hours of contemplation. Life rewards the doer. It respects movement. It meets you halfway once you begin, but it will not start without you. You must be the initiator. You must be the spark. Every giant success was once a small act of courage. A phone call made, a letter sent, a door knocked on, a sketch drawn, a word written. It wasn't grand, it wasn't even certain, but it was movement, and that movement, repeated and refined, grew into something extraordinary. Inaction, on the other hand, feeds fear. The longer you wait, the louder the voice of doubt becomes. The longer you sit with a decision, the heavier it feels. You begin to imagine all the things that could go wrong. You begin to believe your mind's projections more than your potential. The only way to break this cycle is to interrupt it with action. Start with something small, one email, one sentence, 1 minute of focused effort. You don't need to finish the race today. You just need to take the next step, and once you do, take another. Momentum will build, fear will fade, doubt will shrink. You will begin to experience yourself as someone capable of change. This is not philosophy. It is fact. Your brain changes when you act. Your nervous system responds. Your confidence grows. You become more alert, more focused, more resilient. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What can I learn?" That shift alone can change the course of your life. Nothing changes until you move, nothing grows until you act, nothing improves until you engage. You cannot think your way into greatness. You must live your way into it, through trial, through effort, through fearless repetition. So when fear whispers, act. When doubt creeps in, act. When your mind tells you to wait, act anyway. Because action is not just what you do, it's who you become. It is the habit of leaders, the discipline of champions, and the secret of those who rise while others stand still.